Okay, we can start. Okay, so good morning to everybody. Thank you so much to be here, and a real pleasure to be here today with all of you. A special thanks to Milano Wine Week and all the staff and international team for the opportunity, even to the Italian Chamber of Commerce for Southeast Asia to cooperate with you. It's great for me to represent our organization today in this special event, and of course, for the future collaboration. Today we are going to talk about wine, of course, but this topic will reach the Southeast Asia region, and we will meet some special guests from two amazing cities, Bangkok and Singapore. But today I'm not alone. I'm here in our headquarters in Milan. I'm not alone. Here with me today, my friend and colleague, Mr. Roberto Zoppi. So I would like to switch to Roberto for a very short introduction of our organization. Good morning, Roberto. Thank you. Please, you can start your speech.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm Roberto Zoppi from the Italian Chamber of Commerce for Southeast Asia. Our organization was established in 1993, and our organization promotes and develops commercial, financial, industrial, and cultural relations between Italy and the countries of Southeast Asia. In particular, we focus on some specific countries, which are Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, Brunei, Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. We are supported by a pool of professionals operating in various areas of economy, like business, like marketing, financing, commercial, and also tax law. We have our main offices in Milan, so we work specifically in Italy and also in Southeast Asia, in cooperation with the main institution and governmental office of the area, as well as the European bodies which are responsible for managing projects and funds regarding the Asian area. We group about 200 small and medium-sized Italian and Asian companies, and we try to support them to operate like investor or exporter or importer in our target marketing. Our principal aim are developing obviously commercial and economic and financial relation between Italy and Asia, bringing companies and organizations of Italy and the Southeast Asian countries into contact with each other and promoting their relation. Developing operative supports to the company in order to develop their presence in the market, and elaborating and spreading information and data regarding economy and legal situation of Southeast Asian countries. We are here all to support all the companies interested in the area. We cooperate with a lot of entities in Southeast Asia, and we are and we offer our services to all the Italian and Asian countries with more basic services, like for example, list of local counterparts like agents, importer, exporter, or more professional consulting, like for example, market analysis and research, tax planning, business missions, organization of presence to the more international fair, the more important international fair in Southeast Asia, and so on. I think that's all. If there are some questions about our organization, I'm at your disposal. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. Thank you very much for your very short and perfect introduction of our organization. Okay, but now we can virtually fly to Southeast Asia and start to talk about the topic that we all love, wine, and Southeast Asian markets as well. When we talk about Southeast Asia, we refer to ASEAN, the association that includes the 10 countries of the region. Countries that are very close to each other, but also different from each other. A panorama of countries with different characteristics, different market sizes, strong and emerging economies, different culture and different ways of doing business. But altogether, they represent the fifth economy in the world, a very fast-growing and dynamic area. Our focus today concerns two of the most important countries in terms of economy and market, Thailand and Singapore. So let's start with Thailand, with its great opportunities, but also with its difficulties. So I'm particularly glad to start from here, from Thailand, because it is the country where I'm normally based and work, so I'm particularly excited about this. So let me introduce you our first guest, Mr. Giuliano Passerini, director of Zero East Limited, an international consulting firm at the forefront of Southeast Asia and very active in the export processes of the food and wine sector. So welcome, Giuliano, welcome. Thank you to be with us. Please, you can start your speech.
Thank you, Antonio. So I'm Giuliano Passerini. As Antonio said, we support organization in the business development effort in the Southeast Asia. We also operate, of course, in the United Kingdom, where we are based, in Europe and in India. Particularly today in the Southeast Asia, we have to say we are a partner of the Italian Chamber of Commerce, assisting the associates in the effort on the business penetration. And today, of course, focus on Thailand. We'll talk about market outlook, the consumption of wine in general, and a bit of import distribution. And ultimately, I would like to give you some tips you might benefit your business strategies to penetrate the Thai market of wine. So in terms of market in general, Thailand has 67 million inhabitants, very steady economy growing at 3%. As Antonio says, is a member of the ASEAN Association since 1967. The association has been built to aiming social and economical goals. The country is pretty much stable, modern, high quality of service, infrastructure, logistic, everything you might need from a country to offer you the opportunity of make of Thailand a strategic position for your business hub in the whole region. Thailand is not only ASEAN, it is also working hard on trade agreement with Western countries. Recently undersigned a very important agreement with the United Kingdom. There is a lot of talk at the moment with the European countries. So there are ambitions from Thailand to look out the ASEAN to become a global player. So the market of wine, obviously, it's very interesting. The growth is steady, not only on quantity, on volume, but on qualities of wine that are coming in the country. The demand is mainly driven by the middle class, fastly growing, and of course from the tourism sector, and registering 40 million people coming into Thailand every year. So there is an international crowd of consumer of wine. And just to give you the range of the importance of the wine, Bangkok is the first Southeast Asian capital in terms of wine consumption. And then about consumption, wine is generally considered a prestige beverage in Thailand. Most of the population are Buddhist, so there is no religious barrier, no constraint on consumption. Few numbers, I'll be limited, promised. 2012 to 17, the market grew of 80%, right? In real number, we've gone from 40 million liters per year in 2012 to nearly 25 million liters per year in 17. Only the 2018 itself, the market of wine grew of more than 10%. the growth is not only on volume. Again, important message today, it's growing on quality of the wine being imported. Euromonitor is expecting Thailand to grow up to 40 million litre per year by 2022, which is next year, strengthened by the post-COVID strategy of tourism income in the country. In terms of segment, 75% of the wine are red, 20% white, 4% sparkling, and only 1% rosé. Be aware the dynamic of demand might change. Of course, if you switch from 24 to 40 million litre per year, obviously you might expect those balance to be changed, affected by the demand. In terms of importing, so nearly all the wine are imported in Thailand. French is dominant, 40% of the market, right? Followed by Australia, Chile, Italy, and USA. So Australia and Chile, they have an advantage here because the benefit of the free trade agreement between Thailand and the two countries. So, of course, they have an advantage. Italy, despite the advantage of having tons of Italian restaurants spread across the whole country, and the steady grow every year, but they still hold only the 6% of the wine consumption in country. So there is lots to do. 40% France, 6% the second Italian, the second European import, which is Italy. There are few constraints in the import, right? We need to consider very high input duties. There is difficult to find the decent wine at retail price less than 15 euros on the shelf. So this is something you have to be careful of. Also, not only tariff barrier, but there are also other kind of barrier. The importers are subject to very high license fees, as well as the Ministry of Health regulate the consumption of alcohol above 20 years old. So there are few constraints, but definitely not a trade-off. Distribution, right? 60% is on trade, right? 40% off trade. Nice curiosity, in Thailand at the moment it's not possible to sell wine online. So there is an entire stream of business that at the moment is not there. That's another message for the huge opportunity might come soon, or whenever the regulator will decide to allow the sale online. So again, big outlook in terms of wine import, distribution, and especially on the look ahead with the opportunities for the sale online. Many shops are opening in the high street, specialized on medium to premium quality wine. Ultimately, I would like to close with a few tips to succeed with your business in Thailand. So first of all, we have to say there are not many importers. It's not United Kingdom where you have hundreds of importers, so you have a backup if you don't succeed in a negotiation. So your negotiation must be very careful. You need to shortly select your adequate importer, the one is best matching your products and your strategy, your concept. The physical presence in country is fundamental. Recurrent and physical presence in country is key. Promoting your products, source the demand that is constantly changing, refine your offer, talk to the importer, understand what they need, because whatever is needed now, it might not be next year. That's why you need to be there. Stay engaged when you find your importer. Don't leave your wine alone in Thailand. Assist the importer with the education. The personnel in the on-trade is very well prepared, the professional, they know the technical knowledge of wine. What you need to help is to bring your storytelling, the methodologies, the tradition, the passion, anything it might be a selling point to sell your wine in Thailand. And one important thing, it will be to stay on the regulation. The regulation are constantly being updated, not only on importing or logistics. We're talking about labeling, packaging, and everything might be very relevant to disrupt your business. So stay on top of the regulation at any time, because you might be easily disrupted. Don't pull out because of those bureaucratic barriers. Keep going. See Thailand as a long target. It's a long-term target market. Don't expect to make business in a short term. Eventually, if you can't be there, seek professional advice for the in-country operation, some in-country support, but you need to be there to succeed in the long term. And last message, it is be ready for the post-pandemic, because Thailand is a key destination, a touristic destination. 40% of the wine demand is coming from there. International crowd, they're starving to go to Thailand and enjoy holidays and consume wine. So we expect a real boost in the wine market in Thailand. So Antonio, I think I finished at limited time, but of course, if the crowd need to know more about details, of course, they can always contact the Italian Chamber of Commerce. I would be happy to support with more numbers and details.
Okay, thank you, Giuliano. Thank you very much for your very interesting speech focusing on the market characteristic, the problems, and also the path that the sporting companies must take to establish themselves in this market. A market that Italian wine will have to seriously consider, especially as you mentioned it, for the restarting, for the new pandemic era. This is really important, very important. Thank you so much again, Giuliano.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure now to introduce you our second guest from Bangkok. With us, Ms. Molly Champalson of Coca Holding International, one of the most important HoReCa operator in Thailand. So welcome, Molly, and good morning. Good afternoon for you in Bangkok. For all of us, it is very interesting to hear the point of view of an HoReCa operator. Please, Molly, you can start your speech. Thanks.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Molly Champalson from Coca Holding International. First of all, let me thank you, Milano Wine Week and Italian Chamber of Commerce Southeast Asia. It's really a pleasure to be a part of this event. I hope most of the people here know Thailand very well. So I would like to introduce my company. Coca Holding International is the owner famous restaurant chain in Thailand. One example is Mango Tea Restaurant, our well-known and appreciated brand, also international. We are main in Thailand and other 12 countries all around the world, such as London, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, and Guangzhou. Mango Tea Thailand is the best destination for the tourists that must try the original Thai cuisine when you come to Thailand. The restaurant objective is give a good service, good memory to the customer. Of course, the consumer will get the good food from us as well. And the most important thing that makes dinner more special is good wine. We always create wine pairing between Thai food and Italian wine in particular. As you know, Thailand is very clear identity, tastes like spicy, sour, sweet, coconut crunch. Then we can create wine pairing with many characters. It's a good combination between Thai style and international style. It's really appreciated by our customer. Our national dish, such as Tom Yum Gung, Pad Thai, Meat Gill, Thai salad, is very good with right wine pairing. The consumption of wine during lunch, dinner, special occasion, birthday party, it has increased significantly. Why is increased appreciated? Not just only because of the country is the destination to the tourists and expat, but also because of the Thai palate is getting closer and closer to the product. Statistically, the most popular is red wine. The white wine, rosé, sparkling is getting more and more popular by young people and females. We meet frequently with the well-trained customer on the subject who make specific requests and the question in Thailand, quality of Italian wine are well known, therefore important have the right labels on the wine list. As a buyer, our relationship between importer and distributor is very carefully taken into account. Various aspects that is limited, not just only because of the purchasing cost. We also pay attention to the wine list, to the quality, origin, and assistance that importer must give to us and to the need of the customer. A detail that always taken into serious consideration. The buyer knows that it's not easy for Italian wine producer to list the Thai market, as we know. How important must be the right relationship between producer and importer. Often the right collaboration simplify procedure and allow most effective result like our customer. We too are aware for how Italian play in the leading role in the world of wine production, with many types of depth and their quality linked to historical territory characteristics. We are now looking very carefully for the new post-pandemic restart phase, a phase that will be fundamental for restaurant business and entire HoReCa sector. It will be important for us to renew effective collaboration strategy with importers. We will help in add that value our customer evaluate market new and focus a lot on product quality. The wine market in our country will grow a lot in the coming year. In our sector, we are and we will all be at the forefront important demanding customer. We hope that in the future we will be great entry of the wine from Italy wider section in the order of safety a growing range of demand palette. Thank you very much for your kindly attention. Hope to see you soon in Thailand.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you very much for your interesting speech and for the important point of view of the restaurant and HoReCa sector. We well understood how much you consider the Italian wine. So thank you very much for your consideration about the Italian wine. So very well. So we have been able to understand how Thailand can be a reference country for wine in Southeast Asia. We also understood what the difficulties may be and the possible strategies. However, it will be a country of significant importance, especially in the post-pandemic period. So the reopening to international tourism that has already begun will see an increase in the demand of the wine by importers. Don't forget, another key point of the country is to have a very strong logistics and specialized distribution system, which has grown considerably in the recent years. So I think that I can understand the difficulties of the countries, the duties, and so on. But with the right strategy, Thailand can be an essential target for the growing demand of Italian wine in the country. So well, I think we are going to close now the Thailand part of the webinar. I asked to the webinar direction if I can switch immediately to the second part of the webinar, talking about Singapore. Can we start for this, please? Okay, no answer, so I go ahead. Okay, so this second webinar is dedicated to Singapore. So we are going to talk about a country with particular characteristics, a country with an average high standard of living, an international environment. Yes, maybe you can think it is an island, a city, and sometimes it is seen as a small and saturated market. But Singapore plays an important and strategic role and must absolutely be considered from different points of view. I'm sure that through our guests today, we will discover the details of the particularity of this country and the important role that the wine market plays. So let me introduce you our first guest from Singapore, Mr. Simone Centola of Whitehouse Catalwong LLP, for an introduction of the Singapore wine market. So good afternoon, Simone. Welcome. Thank you to be here with us today. Please, you can start your speech. Simone?
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks very much, Antonio, for your kind introduction. Can you all hear me pretty well? That's very good. So yes, we're going to talk about Singapore, and my role here is just to give you a brief introduction about Singapore and Southeast Asia, and then pass on the mic to Mr. Clinton Ang, who is an established importer of fine wine and spirits in Singapore and the region, who will enlighten us on the current situation and market trends. I did submit some slides, but I can just go ahead. So as a brief background, I'm a lawyer by profession. I've been in Singapore for about 10 years. I deal with disputes and commercial contracts. And from time to time, I get involved in the wine business, either to assist investors to acquire estates in Italy or elsewhere, and by assisting producers exporting into Asia. The role of Singapore, you already highlighted very well, Antonio. I would just give you a little snapshot of Singapore. It's a city island, about 5 million people. There is a high disposable income compared to the rest of the region. And English is the official language that facilitates business relationships. It's a safe and secure environment, and it's very well connected both with Asia and Europe. One of the features that helps business is the fact that the legal system is derived by UK system. So it's pretty straightforward, and so attracts a series of MNCs, entrepreneurs, and tycoons from all over the world, which set up their headquarters in Singapore. That leaves to us, as lawyer, to work around the region, taking advantage of Singapore law and Singapore as a forum to resolve disputes if they arise. In terms of the wine, I've done a little research myself, and I was surprised that it's the sixth wine importer for growth in 2020, with about 312 million of US dollars of growth. Which makes me I'm very happy for Clinton as an importer. I think the future is looking bright. Although I have to say there are some limitations about Singapore as a wine market. One is the heavy taxation, and obviously it's a very established, very competitive, and the price is very high. So quite a limited scope for growth there. However, Singapore is also the gateway for the region, has the biggest wine storage vault in Southeast Asia, is a great network for regional importers, collectors, entrepreneurs, and so forth, and attracts premium consumers from all over APAC. Just quickly, we talk about Southeast Asia. You said it's about 10 countries. What I would like to point out is Singapore is a small market, but ASEAN or Southeast Asia as a whole, we're looking at a market of potential drinkers of wine of about 500 millions, with a median age of about 30 years old. I did prepare some slides with the key numbers, but I think I can't see them on the screen, so I would like to introduce Clinton Hang. And I think, Antonio, you will make a brief introduction before his speech. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, again, thank you so much, Simone, for your perfect intervention and to give us the first feeling of the Singapore market. Really interesting. So now it is a pleasure to have as a guest today from Singapore, Mr. Clinton Hang, Managing Director of Hock Tong Bee Limited, a very important company with a long history in the sector. Maybe I can say a piece of the wine history in Singapore. It will be very interesting to hear this speech. Good afternoon and welcome, Mr. Clinton. Thank you to be here with us today. Please, you can start your speech. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Antonio. Buongiorno, everybody, and good afternoon from sunny Singapore. Well, unfortunately, my name is Clinton Hang. I'm Managing Director and the third generation owner of Hock Tong Bee Cornerstone Wines. We are the oldest wine merchants in Southeast Asia. Unfortunately, Singapore is in midway in between a semi-lockdown with cases now at the 3,500 mark. We unfortunately, the default is working from home. And dine-in is only limited to 2 packs. So we're going through a little bit of a rough time till October 24th. Hopefully things will be better and things will get back to normal. And we have the pleasure of traveling to all over, including Thailand and Italy. Singapore is, so just give an idea about our company first. We are, as I mentioned, the oldest wines and spirits merchant in Southeast Asia. So we were founded in 1938. I'm the third generation. We cover a host of basically a portfolio of wines and spirits representing the best family-owned wineries from all over the world. And that's because essentially we are family-owned, and the evolution of the business has been representing the big brands. So we were the agents, the exclusive agents of, in the 60s and 70s was Rufino, and then in the 90s to the early 2000s, it was Antinori. And then now we represent the best family-owned wineries from all over Italy. Because we feel that the dynamics of the wine market has changed and it's gone from maybe the big multinationals to a little bit more sophisticated, more family-owned, more craft, and more specific. So that's in a sense. The other key thing that we do very differently as well is today we cover 28 countries in the region. We have our own offices in Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Macau, China, Taiwan. And then with all the other countries, with the likes of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, East Timor, as an example, we have trading partners that we have known and worked with for many, many years, offering them a one-stop solution of a portfolio of wines and spirits, as well as a marketing angle to support them in whatever that they need. In addition to the exclusive representations that we hold, right now, as an example, we have great wines from, so the likes of, from the Piedmont, we do da Milano, Bresciano, and then from Veneto, we do, for Prosecco, which is a very important category today, we do Astoria, and then we do Brigaldara. From Sardinia, we do Agiolas. Marche Abruzzo, we do Velenosi. From Sicily, we do Marabino. And then from Toscana, we do quite a lot. So we do Poggio Scalate, we do Siro Paccianti, La Maggia, La Rasina, Lazzaretti. Oh boy, I might have missed out a few. Castello Trebbiano. So really quite a vast variety. But it is also interesting because today the wine market in Singapore, or the Italian wine market in Singapore, is beyond the norm. The norm has always been the Barolos, the Brunellos, the Super Tuscans. Today they are also interested in Sardinia, in Sicily, in Lazio, in Marche Abruzzo. So there is an opportunity, albeit from a smaller base. But this is the amazing world of Italian wines that Singaporeans are engaged with, and they are excited about all the different varieties and wine styles coming from the different regions of Italy. The other aspect that we do as well is we don't just represent our own exclusive agencies. We want to make sure that we are a one-stop to supplying all the favorite wines of the wine world. So as an example, for Italian, we also stock, and probably one of the biggest stock in all of, well, probably definitely Southeast Asia, but arguably in Asia. So we stock Sassicaia, Ghiberto, of course, Onolaya, Lavote, Massetto, Tinanello. So we represent and we stock a lot of these wines because these are the iconic wines of Italy that we also want to be able to represent in its way, right? But there are also many opportunities now as these iconic wines rise up in prices. There is a great opportunity for the, I would say, the up and coming Super Tuscans, as an example, to come up and to take the next place of where the former Tignanello was and where Tignanello is today. There are great opportunities. Okay. So in our group, we have 120 people spread across now several countries where we operate, and it's a great pleasure. And Italian is one of our first and foremost key countries. We generally specialize in the old world, in the likes of Singapore, because Singapore tends to be still very old world oriented for the premium to the super premium sector. Obviously, the French is the biggest selling in terms of the iconic sector. Then comes Italy, Spain. Now, I think the US is coming up a little bit. And then for the mass market, Australia and Chile are still the biggest in terms of volumes, okay? But in the sparkling sector, Prosecco producers would be very happy because by far, Prosecco, and now with the allowance of Prosecco Rosé, they have definitely taken a key market sector and market leader in the sparkling category, all right, above and beyond, just under champagnes, right? So moving on, it's interesting how I think it's a great topic. I want to share a little bit about the pre-COVID scenario. And I want to cite a little bit from the past articles that Simeone and myself were discussing. Well, obviously, Singapore is highly developed and highly competitive because you do have, now in Singapore, we probably have about 500 importers in Singapore, of which probably those that are significant would probably be 50. And out of the 50, those that have decent market share, probably 15. Okay, so that gives you a broad range of where they are, but it does not mean that the niche players don't have their role. They hand sell and represent very interesting niche, very specific wines, which probably a company like ours probably would have some challenges in representing. And they make that wine ecosystem, the wine lifestyle, very vibrant, and that is great for the entire wine industry in its own. Singapore has always been seen pre-COVID to be the gateway to Southeast Asia. I think, in fact, I would say in terms of population, obviously Singapore is very small now, probably 4.5 million people, but you have much bigger countries with the likes of Thailand and Indonesia and Malaysia, Vietnam per se. But of course, for Singapore, very, very high value. But the key is to make Singapore your Southeast Asian showcase. So a lot of wineries like to make Singapore the showcase and then from there, it's the launch pad to Southeast Asia, right? And that's very key. Singapore also starts from a very low base of wine consumption, albeit very high level. Our average per capita was pretty much 2 liters, but obviously that has changed a lot during the COVID and probably the post-COVID scenario, okay, which I will share shortly. The other thing that you need to know about Singapore as well is Singapore, every single Italian brand is probably here, okay, probably in the mid to the high level ones, they're mostly all here. So competition is extremely keen. But the great thing about it is Singapore's taxation is considered high, but very friendly. What do I mean? It's $88 per liter per alcohol percentage, which means that if you bring in a product that is 2 to 5 euro or 8 euros, the $88 per liter per alcohol percentage would be a larger component of your landed cost, hence your selling price. But if you were to pitch and position, if your product is 15, 20, 50 euros, then the taxation part is actually a significantly less component of your landed and your selling price. So what does that mean in Singapore? People in Singapore, I always share with my customers, life is too short to drink inexpensive wine. So you have to drink more expensive because then you pay less tax, so to speak, okay? All right. Okay, coming on to my last slide. Working through the post or the current COVID and then the post-COVID situation. It's a really interesting scenario because, and I think that happened all throughout the world. Because of the clampdowns or the lockdowns on the on-trade, a lot of the business shifted to the off-trade or the onlines. So we went from 30 legitimate wine websites in Singapore to 300. So it was a balloon of the number of websites here. Of course, a lot of them, like in importers, majority of them were very niche, very small. But there is a big shift of wine purchase and consumption to the onlines. And that is very interesting for where it will be post-COVID. The other scenario that has happened is that because of the focus on the onlines, it has also showed that, unfortunately, it has put some pressure on the on-trade, where the on-trade markups now need to tailor and be a little more friendly, because now people know the source and they generally have to buy on the online to be able to know, and they don't want to be paying the 2-3 times that maybe they used to pay. So that will give some pressure. The other shift that we have seen also is the shift towards, as I mentioned, from the big multinationals, the big Italian brands. Yes, they are still there and they're still probably still very present in the supermarket or the off-trade, but in the on-trade and the onlines, most people want to hear about the family, about the story, about the region, about the commitment of the family members, how it's made, the terroir, and the terrain, everything. There is a big shift towards where they demand a lot more rather than just a marketed brand, so to speak. Okay. It's also interesting that they've also shifted to, like I said, craft, also organic, biodynamic, and natural wines. It's still a small movement. Organic, natural, biodynamic, still a small movement, but it's a growing sector, right? So niche, but growing. Interesting. The other great thing I've noticed about Italy, as specifically alongside, of course, some of the other old worlds, is that Italy has been blessed with a slew of God-blessed great vintages. 15, 16 have been amazing vintages in Italy. 18 has not been bad. So with 15 and 16 launching such great vintages, the interest of the wine aficionados in Singapore towards Italian wines have increased significantly, right? And that has been great. So always use great vintages to launch, because it's the time to be able to drum. And when you drum with a great vintage, it makes a lot more noise. So the other aspect is that, as I mentioned, Singapore is really seen as a warehousing and marketing hub. So as an example, just citing our company as an example, most of the brands that we represent, we don't just represent for Singapore. We actually represent for a larger part of the region, even beyond Southeast Asia. Why? Because my group now is 120 people. So we represent, so what happens is that we have a lot of countries in Southeast Asia specifically. A lot of the wines are brought into Singapore, and then we send them on a just-in-time basis to the respective countries throughout the region. So we own a 7-story, 50,000 square feet warehouse, and we use it as a JIT to pick and pack to be able to send them across Southeast Asia. So it's a really great ability to be able to serve your customers on a just-in-time basis. And in addition, we are also the marketing hub for a lot of these brands. So we represent these brands regionally, and in today's topic, Southeast Asia. And so we do all the marketing to do that. And then when the export directors or the owners come by, they fly to Singapore, they do their stuff in Singapore, and then I have the pleasure alongside maybe 1 or 2 of my team to fly with them all throughout Southeast Asia to do the tours and do the necessary in promoting the brands. And then from there, we follow through as well. So a lot of people love the fact that Singapore is that hub, is the ability to be able to use as a warehousing and marketing hub. But not all companies have the facilities that we do. And if they outsource the warehousing side, it's a little bit more complex, but still can be done, but the cost will be higher, okay? My recommendation in ending really is that you must always synergize with a local importer in all the countries, because at the end of the day, it's about whether they know they have their foot to the ground there and they know the market, right? It's very key, very important. Yes, we are part of Southeast Asia, but the wines that they like in Singapore may not be the wines that are liked and enjoyed in Indonesia, in Thailand, in Malaysia, because the food is different. The weather similar but different, right? As an example, if you go to Vietnam now, it's cool. In Singapore, it's hot. It's always hot, okay? In Singapore, we have 2 weathers. It's hot and hotter. That's it. So essentially, that's, so you need to know how to cater and customize, because yes, we are a cluster, but there is also some high level of customization that needs to be done. So use Singapore as a launchpad, a platform, as your partner to Southeast Asia. Grazie mille.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Clinton. Great intervention. I'm sure that we all followed with particular attention your interesting speech. Very, very well. Well, I think we have understood exactly what I mentioned at the beginning. I mean, how much Singapore plays a strategic role. Mr. Clinton gave us a clear idea. We have focused at the high level of the local market and the available opportunities that can be reached by the exporters with the right idea and the right plan, because it's a challenging market, but the right idea and the right plan could be reached the target. Another consideration is what Mr. Heng told us, to consider Singapore as a hub for the whole region. This is very important. So this is why Singapore is considered an important reference country. Singapore is also home of important events and trade fairs in the sector, events in which the largest number of operators from Asia-Pacific regions are concentrated. Well, we are going to close this webinar about Singapore before Thailand. So I would like to thank again all the speakers for the time dedicated and for the precious information that we received. So I would like to close, if I can come back to the webinar direction. I come back to you now with my personal greetings to everybody. The Italian Chamber of Commerce of Southeast Asia will remain at your disposal in case of some specific requests or for more details about the topics discussed today. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you to everybody.